Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to NoDQ&A video right here on NoDQ.com, as well as the YouTube channel and NoDQ&A videos affiliate, ringsidenews.com. Got your questions from twitter.com/AaronRift. So let's get started with the first one today from Antonius. Hey Aaron, do you think New Japan Pro Wrestling would do a better job of booking Cesaro and other young WWE talent? I have gotten a lot of questions about Cesaro. People want to know what the hell is going on with him. He rarely appears on television these days, and when he does appear on television, he's putting over other talent. One would think that New Japan would utilize Cesaro better because they have more of an emphasis on the in-ring performances, and it's more about the athleticism and the competition. In WWE, it's more about being an all-around entertainer. And we all know how Vince feels about Cesaro. He doesn't feel that Cesaro has the it factor. And let's face it, Cesaro is not a great promo. But you look at past stars, there have been people in the wrestling business that have succeeded without being good promos or talking. Guys have done it. You look at Sting in WCW with the Crow gimmick against the NWO. When he was doing that, he was not talking, and he became bigger than he ever was prior to that. You look at Goldberg. He went on that winning streak. He never said a word, and he became the hottest act in the company. And he didn't even talk until after he won the world title. And he actually started to lose momentum after he started talking. Sometimes less is more. WWE could utilize Cesaro by just having him do what he does best. Focus on his strengths and hide his weaknesses. But in Vince's eyes, you have to be the all-around entertainer, and I think that that's why Cesaro's not in a top position in WWE right now. He could do better in other promotions, but he is part of WWE, a worldwide promotion. It is the big time, and even though he's not being used right now, who knows? Maybe after Hell in a Cell, once the Ryback feud is over, Kevin Owens can feud with Cesaro over the IC title. I don't feel it's too late, but I do feel that the more time that passes without something happening with Cesaro, then it might be better for him to look at other options, whether it be New Japan or another promotion. And he definitely will have options, there's no question, because he's one of the most talented guys in the business. Alright, this one comes from Torvik. With the major push the New Day got at the end of Raw, they have to win a Hell in a Cell, right? Or is this another example of WWE building up just to knock them down? With Cena taking time off, who do you see him dropping the title to? I feel that WWE has done a really good job with pushing New Day, and even though New Day has gone against John Cena, WWE has continued to protect the New Day. Last week on Raw, when Cena faced Xavier Woods, they had it end in a DQ, and this week, even though Big E lost when Raw was over, the New Day was standing tall to end the show. So WWE kept them protected even though Big E lost to Cena. I like what WWE's doing with New Day. They know the New Day's a hot act, and in my opinion, they're the hottest act in the company, and they're worth protecting. So I feel WWE's doing a great job with them. It could change, but we all know that a New Day member by himself is not going to go over John Cena. So it's just a way to build up the New Day as heels and keep the storyline going with the Dudley Boys and just have these guys work with each other in various incarnations. And, you know, so far I don't have a problem with what they've done with Cena and the New Day up to this point. And as far as who Cena might drop the title to, I mean, right now, makes sense to be Dolph Ziggler. Time will tell if that's the match that's made for Hell in a Cell, but based off of Raw, that seems to be the logical direction. Alright, this one comes from The Other Z. Would you dislike the New Day again if they went back to being babyface? Personally, I prefer them as a heel. Well, there's no point in turning them face right now, having them be a babyface group. They're doing a tremendous job as heels, and just let it go the way it's going. Let the fans determine if they're going to be babyfaces again. If the crowd continues to pop for them, then eventually you turn them face. But right now, it's too soon to go back to them being babyfaces. But I mean, they could do it, and I think that they would be way more over than they were when they were originally babyfaces. But I like to see them stay as heels for the time being. I think there's more you can get out of that with them being heels. Once you feel like you've done everything there is to do with them as heels, then you can consider turning them baby faces. But I love them as a heel act right now, and I think that they should just keep going with what's working. And that's them as heels right now. Alright, this one comes from J-Ro. Do you think people would tune in to SmackDown more if it was live? Being live or being taped doesn't really matter, and historically the ratings haven't really changed when the show has gone live. The fact is, people watch whether it's taped or live. There are a few people out there that prefer it to be live, and if you're really paying very close attention, then it does make a difference a little bit, and sometimes the performances are better in a live environment. Sometimes it's better taped because you can edit off mistakes and you can, you know, make little tweaks to the final show. So it has its pros and cons. But as far as people tuning in, I don't think it makes that much of a difference. I don't think people really pay much attention to spoilers. You know, most of the casual audience, they just tune in. They don't really go on the internet and read spoilers. And some people go on the internet and they don't bother reading spoilers. I really feel it doesn't make that much of a difference. What matters is the quality of the show. It doesn't matter if it's live or taped. If it's a crappy show, it doesn't matter. If it's a crappy show and live, it's still a crappy show. So it's all about the quality of the show. And hopefully, once SmackDown moves to USA Network or whatever in January, they can put more of an emphasis on it and it'll get better. Until WWE decides they've given up on it again, and it just goes back to being a C show. I mean, I don't even consider it a B show at this point. That's how far SmackDown has fallen in stock, in my opinion. Alright, this one comes from Joshua. When/if Erick Rowan returns, what do you see WWE doing with him? Rejoin the Wyatts or do his own thing? Really, the only thing that makes logical sense to me is him going back with the Wyatt family. I think that him by himself isn't going to amount to anything. I think he's best off being part of the group, and as long as they're keeping the group around, to me it only makes sense to have him come back and be part of the Wyatt family, make it a 4-person group. That's what I would do at least. I just think he would be lost in the shuffle on his own at this point. Alright, this one comes from Michael. Bischoff talks about how big it would be if Vince had accepted his offer to fight him. How do you think it would have played out? If it was a worked match between Eric Bischoff and Vince McMahon, it would have been huge. It would have been one of the biggest pay-per-view buy rates of all time. There's no question about that. But if it was a shoot fight, I think it would have been an embarrassment, and I think Bischoff brought that up. I mean, Vince McMahon is an old guy. He's this freak of nature physically, but you know, he was already in his 50s at the time that this happened. I don't even know how old he was, but he was pretty old. Yeah, he can do the occasional worked match, and Vince did the matches with Steve Austin, but being in a real fight, Vince and Eric Bischoff, two guys that are not regular athletes, they're executives. Vince is a bodybuilder, and Eric Bischoff has the karate background, but still, you have two executives going out there and having a shoot fight. I think it would have been crappy. I think it would have been really embarrassing if they actually had a real fight. And, you know, it was probably best they didn't go that route. And there was really no chance of it being a worked fight. There was no way they would have been able to come to terms on something. So, you know, it's hard to say with the what-if questions how it would have gone. It's just something I don't really feel I can give a good answer to. Alright, this one comes from Matt Trenchman. WWE.com was doing a poll about Sting having one last match with a resounding Taker win. Mean anything? One would think it should mean something. The fact that fans want to see Undertaker and Sting, and the night after WrestleMania fans chanted Undertaker when Sting came out. But I don't know if it's going to happen. And the fact that Sting has lost his 2 pay-per-view matches, he's lost value. And I think the odds are against that match happening. And even if Sting is healthy and can do another match, I don't know if WWE is going to go with it. And I don't know if they should at this point, because I think that if Sting was going to fight Undertaker, they should have had Sting win on pay-per-view. And they didn't do that. And I think he's lost some of his value as a draw. And I know that is a dream match for fans, but WWE may feel that Undertaker has more value in fighting somebody else and maybe having a match with Cena or a match with Seth Rollins or any number of people. They may feel there's better value in doing something other than Undertaker and Sting. Alright, this one comes from The Last Lulu. Don't you think it's risky for old wrestlers like Sting to compete at 56 when wrestlers like Savage died of cardiac issues at 58? Well, the big difference is Randy Savage was not an active wrestler. He had been retired for several years. With Sting, you know, there were reports that he was in really good shape leading up to that match at Night of Champions, and for a 56-year-old man, he was in fact in damn good shape. He was looking better than most 56-year-olds, and it's still risky. And, you know, Sting, I'm sure, was able to pass whatever health tests he needed to pass to be in that match at Night of Champions. WWE was not going to put him in there if they didn't feel he could go and he wasn't in the right health to do it. But they did it, and, you know, he got hurt. And that's just the way it is. That's the risk you take. So yeah, there was a big difference between Sting and Randy Savage. But yeah, at some point you have to say, you know, no matter how good of shape somebody's in, you know, at a certain age you have to say, you know, it's too much of a risk. So it's just a matter of figuring out when it's the right time for somebody to stay out of the ring. So that'll wrap it up for this edition of No DQ&A video. Thanks as always for watching. Check out my review video of the WWE MSG show, as well as my Bound for Glory review, youtube.com/NoDQCAW. And on that note, I will see you guys next time for more No DQ&A video.